Hey guys, Andy here, and I'm here to bring you all things mundane and makeup related. If that's your vibe, I'd love it if you would subscribe to be part of my little slice of the internet. And in today's video, I want to bring you my September, had to remember what month it was, update for the Revolving Door Project Pan. So if you want to hear everything that we're going to talk about the ABH Riviera palette, and what palette we will be rolling in after this, then let's go ahead and get on into it. So, if you didn't catch my intro, the playlist will be listed down below, but this is a project that I'm taking every palette that I've used. If I can remember that I've used it once, it's listed, but if I've used it at least once, then I can remember more. Basically, if it's not in my pile of shame project pan, it's in this project. And it's in a wheel. We'll be randomly picking a palette, and I have to create 2 looks with it to determine if it's something that I still want to keep in my collection. And then I'll be using the grading scale that I listed in my intro that is revised from Beauty and Beyond's scale. She's listed in the description box, but I'm a dummy. I said that it was out of 12. It's out of 16 points. I can't add, apparently. So the wheel chose for us the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette. So packaging or anything doesn't account, because packaging and stuff doesn't really matter when it comes to whether or not I should want to keep a palette. But I'm just saying, I love this. I've always loved like the nautical theme, and I like how this feels. I don't know. It's just fabric, and I like it. And I just think that it's pretty. I don't love the gold because it is a little hard to read, but other than that, I've long since, I don't have the brush anymore, but this is what the palette itself looks like. So, we're going to talk about it. I will say I did not know pan left behind this. That is not necessarily the goal. The goal is to create 2 looks. It is what is on my eyes today. But I will say I've used every shade in the palette except this blue. I just didn't think, because the first look that I did, and we're going to talk about it, I did more of like a neutral look, and the second look I did pink. And I just didn't feel like the blue went with either of those, even though I think Seychelles, which is what the blue is called, is very pretty. I just don't feel like it goes with the palette. So, for the first look, well, first, because we always swatch the palette, I think that the swatches were great. The mattes had kick up, but they're pigmented. Excuse me, like, catch my breath. Oh. The shimmers, if you don't have this palette, which I got mine at TJ Maxx, way after the fact, these shimmers feel like ColourPop Super Shock shadows, which I love. I wish we didn't have a matte white. I wish we had a lighter shimmer, because these are all mid-tones, but they're beautiful. For the first look, which was in August, like the end of August, I used Sales with an S. Obviously, to set my lid, I used Estate, Cabana, Coastline, and Palms as my mattes, which I really like. Cabana, I like that it's yellowy. Palms is, well, I would say the only, but I've actually used all 3 of these shades twice. So, and then for that look, the shimmers I used were just Yacht, which I love. You can't really see it in the pan, but it has almost a pinky duochrome to it. And then I used Inheritance, which is actually a very pretty gold. And for that look, I said that the mattes were powdery, which we already know that. It is an old palette, but they're pigmented. They're pigmented, they're buildable, they're blendable. The shimmers. The shimmers. Told you about the duochrome, and I loved how the look came out. If I'm a good YouTuber, I will have a picture of the look up for you. But if you want to catch the looks in real time, because like I said, that look was from August, go follow me on my Instagram. shameless plug. The second look, which is today. So I started by mixing these two shades here, which is Sales and Estate, to create like the perfect like setting shade. Because the matte white is a matte white. It's a very pigmented, very nice matte white. But these two mixed together, gorgeous. Then I went in with Monte Carlo to like, as a transition shade. Then I took Bahamas, which, dear God, it's such a pigmented pink. And I like, did my outer wing with it. Canes, or Cans, I think it's Canes. Cannes. This purple is a dud. It's the only bad shade in the palette. Like I said, old palette, but it's trash. This took like 6 layers. It didn't want to blend. It's patchy. You can't even really see it on this eye. That purple is god awful. And then on my lower lash line, I started with Palm, just a little bit. Then I mixed the two pinks together in the center, and then I took my little mixture. I hate that it's reflective, I'm so sorry. And then I took my little mixture of these two shades to just kind of blend everything out. Now for shimmers, I'm very excited to tell you what I did. Outer third, Mediterranean, beautiful. I love this. In the middle is Seaside, which is one of my favorite shimmers in the palette because it's like, it's a silver, but it's one of those like bluey silvers. I love it. Then on the inner third is Palermo. Beautiful pink, right? But now, let me get up nice and close. I don't know if you can see that my inner corner is lighter than how Palermo looks on my inner third. I did a cool little trick, and I'm very proud of it, and it's probably pretty lame to other people, but I'm proud of it. So first I laid down Sales, the matte white, and then I stuck Palermo on top of it. I've never done that. I've never laid down a matte white and then put a shimmer on top of it. I've laid down a matte white and then put bright other mattes. I've never done that with a shimmer. And I think it turned out pretty nice because I didn't want to add a single shadow, specifically also because I'm not working on anything that would have went with this look in other projects. So that is that. But yeah, the only dud in my palette personally is the purple. Everything else performed pretty flippin' great. So if we go to our little scoring guide. Now, like I said, if you didn't watch the first one, we have cost. Right now, it's the cost of what the cost of the palette originally was. Not necessarily what I paid for it. Like I said, I got this at TJ Maxx. So we're rating this based on what it originally cost. But that's not really relevant. It's just a metric because money. That is relevant in whether or not you should keep something. Because if it's more expensive, I should keep it and get more use out of it. Next year, when I do this project, like after we've gone through all the palettes and we do it again, because I will have been able to see my uses, it will be cost per use. So it'll be a whole different metric. But this is a $45 palette, at least it was originally, so it got a 2 for cost. 2 points. For versatility, I gave this also a 2 for versatility, because I just, like, when I'm doing the scoring, I really want to just be objective. Like, I want to look, versatility, what is my brain? And immediately when I read versatility, I went, kinda. And literally, kinda versatile is 2 points. So I was like, I don't want to think any harder about it. It gets a 2 points for versatile. Performance. I gave it a 3. I think it is good performance because, again, I love the shimmers. All the mattes were pretty good. Like, I had one dud, but it's the end of the world. I have fantastic ColourPops that I've found duds in, so not the end of the world. And then preference. preference and opinion. I gave this one a 4, and not necessarily because of the color story, but I do really like this yellowy brown. I'm getting more into neutrals. The white is getting more up my alley, but these shimmers are what really make it a 4 for me and a 4 for my preference, because I love the texture of these. And I know I've said before when I've talked about this palette that even if the mattes went bad and I got rid of them and like dug them out, like I would keep these shimmers until these shimmers went bad because I love them that much. So this got an 11 out of 16. So obviously we can absolutely keep her. So yeah, no, we can. Nah, I'll deal with that later. So we're going to get into the wheel. Let's see where, I'll just put that over there for now. Which again, it'll be right here for you because I'm doing so many things in post now. I'm becoming like a real YouTuber. Look at me. Pulling the wheel up. But I'm doing it in person for me. We have 62 options. So we are going to screen record and let's go. Okay. NYX El Profesor. Give me a moment to find it. I'll come back and we'll swatch it. So, it is buried in my fourth drawer. So this is the NYX El Profesor palette. So it was a collab with the La Casa de Papel, so the House of Paper. I don't know if that was, I would assume it was a TV show because it was Netflix. It might have been a movie, but it's the Money Heist. It's a color palette. It is a pressed pigment palette. So this half is technically eyeshadows. All of that are pressed pigments. I use them all on my eyes. You look into it, read disclaimers. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do. I'm telling you what I do. I'm not saying it's hard to get 2 looks out of this, but because like obviously we have a quad there, and then we have an extra little deepening shade. But let's just get these swatches going. So we have Perfect Plan. So I got this on clearance at my Walmart. We have Aikido. If I pronounce these wrong, I'm horribly sorry. We have Cider. So that's a nice setting shade, but it's actually a sequin. I'm hoping you can see those little specks of glitter, which I love sequin shades. And I hate that I'm liking setting my lid shade, like setting my eye primer now. So then we have Aikido, which is a shimmer. It's really more of a satin, but it's got a nice like dual chrominess to it. And then we have Cider, which, that's beautiful. I love the tone of that. But yeah, if you know anything about this TV show / movie, and then on the inside it says We Are the Resistance, and it's all just cardboard. So next we have Buy Time, which this is like a nice actual shimmer. The rest of the palette's mattes. So we have Salva. Ooh. And Rule Number 1. This Salva had a lot of kick up. Ooh, I might have to try out my red blush that I have with this palette to try. Then we have Sergio, which looks like I've never used it. I think I've only used this palette once. We have Chow 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 and Mastermind. And those are the last 3. This is a cute palette. From what I remember, it was nice. That brown's a little light, but other than that, the only thing I didn't love is that satin shade, Aikido, but that might be better on the eyes than it was swatched. But otherwise, all the mattes, because I'm sure that brown is buildable. The only one that had kick up at all was Salva, that middle red shade. None of the other ones had kick up at all. So, I think it's a gorgeous color story. It's very fall. I'm very excited about that. So, I might be seeing you in October with an update, because I'm not going to force myself to do these monthly. I was just pretty inspired by the Riviera, so I got this one done. Plus, 2 looks isn't crazy pressured, whereas like the Pile of Shame 3 looks is a little more intense. So maybe October, we'll see, with all the other projects. But otherwise, I will see you when I am done with this. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys!